This is the Rangers AF podcast. And there's Stuart Weir, who's just come out of nowhere like a silent ninja.
Frozen in time.
It said in the background, oh, listen, thank you. It said in the background I was backstage. I was in the green room. I was having a couple of pints just to prepare myself. Hold on. Yeah. Just thought I'm not up there.
Nice. Thanks very much to everybody that's come back. I think Wasp, we had a whole season out. I think obviously you went offshore and never come back, and then we managed to negotiate your release.
Right.
And you made
Thanks
it,
for doing that. I was stuck in Somalia for like 6 months, mate. But I'd rather stick there and see the results coming in.
That's it. And obviously I couldn't do the podcast by myself, so I would
just. Oh, you could.
Well, I probably could, to be fair.
Thank you. Your health, everyone.
There we go.
It's either crunchy cider or was it Cremola foam? Cremola foam.
That looks cool.
That is nice.
Nice. And as always, thank you very much, Stuart Weir, for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much for the invite. I thought I had said something the last time that had caused or created legal action against you, and therefore you couldn't invite me back on. So it was nice to get the call up again, just to prove we were still speaking to each other.
It's always well. I mean, obviously, I had to sell my old house as part of that legal action there. So
I couldn't possibly comment, but anyway, it's nice to be back again. And speaking about, I was always going to say a Rangers victory, but it wasn't quite a victory last night. But it done nearly felt like it.
It did. It was a strange one, and it's interesting actually because I wasn't expecting anything out of that game, and it was good to get a draw. So I guess we should talk about it. So Dynamo Kiev versus Rangers, right? Finished 1-1, which was a wee bit of a miracle, but actually looking at the game overall, we kind of controlled it in parts, I would say. It was a game that was surrounded by controversy, right? Because 2 VAR refs went out on the lash and basically stole some signage to get replaced. That is just the Rangers way, right? That kind of shit follows us around. And obviously, the other controversy is obviously that Kiev can't play in their home stadium because of the ongoing conflict, and neither can Rangers because of the ongoing conflict. So we met at the neutral ground, which is the Arena Lubin in Poland, and Rangers lined up with a very impressive Butland, Tavernier, Balogun, Suter, Ridvan, Wright, Diamande, Barron, Lawrence, McCausland, and Dessers. So we'll come to you first, mate. How much fear did that lineup instill in yourself when you saw it come up on screen?
I think I was disgusted more than anything, but just the wingers alone just didn't give me any faith. But we actually started off really well in the game. Did you not think? I thought we played really well the first opening 10-15 minutes, which was surprising with the lineup. But
I like to call it the Tom Lawrence 15-minute golden hour. Because that's all he can last before he's clearly blowing at his arse. There was some flashes of brilliance in that first 15 minutes.
This is it, mate. Maybe we should just bring him on the last 15 minutes, and then give somebody else a shout that can run for like 75 minutes. But here we are.
I did make a comment last night that he was, rather than, everybody's going about super fast broadband, he looked as if he was still on a dial-up modem. It was seemed to be a yard and a bit of behind everything, not just in pace, but also in his speed of thought. And it was almost like it was like somebody getting an Xbox or a PlayStation for the first time and not being quite sure how hard to press the buttons or how often. The passes were short, they were going in the wrong direction, and I mean, I have to say, the longer the game went on and the longer he stayed in the pitch, the more I wondered, actually, if he had a DVD or some photographs of the current Rangers manager, because that was the only way I could see him justifying a game.
It was absolutely bonkers.
That's even worse.
Aye, true. But you were talking about his kind of speed of movement and his thought and stuff. It was very clear early on that he was a press trigger, but there was no action, no follow up, and we just kind of let it happen, almost because it was too funny to know. Do you know what I mean?
I just feel with Tom Lawrence, he's like that classic guy that plays 5-a-sides that's kind of decent, but he can't run. He's blown out his knees a few too many, or he's had a few pints during the weekend. He's a bit slow, but he still can. He can have that wee bit of magic. And then he's my pal Andy's like that. He can't run, but you put him in the 6-yard box, he'll score.
Oh, perfect number 10 then.
One game for Manchester United.
Aye.
Aye, absolutely. That's brilliant. Stuart, so the manager talked a wee bit about Proper, obviously our new signing that Robin Wasp obviously loves dearly. He was saying he isn't quite there in terms of a starting berth, and it's clear, obviously, we just discussed it, a few of the players were quite rusty. But what were your expectations going into the game?
Well, when you see the actual starting lineup, you think to yourself that 11 actually strikes more fear in Rangers fans than it probably does Kiev. And then the more I looked at it, I thought to myself, Kiev came through a preliminary round, very comfortably. And as soon as when you see that result, you think to yourself, oh no. And then you suddenly realise after about half an hour last night just how bad the team that Kiev beat must have been to concede that many goals over 2 legs. I thought it could be difficult. And at times it was difficult. But equally, I think there must be enough criticism. And you hear you always hear it. Players don't really listen to what's said or don't read what's in social media or online or in the newspapers or anything. The criticism of Rangers players has to be filtering through to them, and they must be recognising that they are under pressure. And not only are they under pressure, they're also putting more pressure on their manager as well by not performing either anywhere near the level you think they could, or even performing basic skills. So I didn't know what to expect, other than the fact that you were looking for a whole bunch of guys to put a shift in, which I think they got. And they did run about a lot and cover space and close the opposition down. Whether there was any genius behind it, I'm not quite sure. But I think they did put a shift in and basically eked out a result, which with 3 minutes to go, I didn't really see coming.
No, and I think as well we kind of played that kind of classic Rangers way when you've got Cyril Dessers up front, where he gets 1,000 opportunities and eventually he does score one, which obviously come through last night. But I think as well, I mean, like you say, I was kind of tentative as well. We were sort of talking about it on the Battle Fever pod last night about how we were saying, do you know what, we can forget about the Champions League this season. And then obviously, like you say, when the result come through, Dinamo Kiev's last one, you were thinking, well, actually, we could be in for a tank in here, potentially, given what we've seen so far. But actually, we carved out some pretty good chances in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
Ross McCausland's one sticks out for me. That was an absolute cracker, where he made space for himself and cut inside and hit that shot that hit the crossbar. That was, I was thinking, do you know what, we could actually get something here. And then, Dessers does what Dessers does. I mean, there was one point in the second half where he went for an overhead kick and he took out 2 opposing players, One where I fucking nearly ripped his heart out of his chest. I was like, that's just fantastic decision making right there.
He's been watching, too much WWE with those kind of moves. It's maybe watch the Copa America or something like that. No, don't watch any wrestling videos because it just gives you daft ideas. But there was another bit where he literally took a good first touch and then had a pass which managed to dissect 4 Rangers players on the run at the same time. Now that's the kind of thing that that's the kind of clips that you see Messi when he nutmegs people in the dressing room, or Ronaldo doing that, wee tricks like that, and he just Dessers doing it on the pitch. The only thing he's still to do is to actually look in a mirror and do it behind his back with a back heel the next time, just to make it look as if he's got skills beyond belief. But he puts a lot of effort in, and I cannot fault the guy for the effort he puts in. But you do wonder, whoever cut his greatest hits DVD and gave it to an agent to get him sold deserves a BAFTA, because that is some of the best editing, ever.
Aye, it is for sure. And you were talking there about the social media getting through to the players and that, about their performances and stuff. And I think that kind of rings true when you hear Clement coming out at the end saying, hopefully this will be the turnaround, and we need the fans to get behind the team and all that kind of stuff. And in particular calling out Dessers for that, because he is somebody that we've kind of all stepped on the shoulders of. But it's because we have standards. And when you're signing a striker to play for Rangers, you're expecting them to, at least score a few times, and he's been struggling to do that. He's been doing everything else sort of semi-right, but frustratingly making some really poor decisions. And in particular in the transition, like you mentioned last night, where he hit that pass, and like you could hear, I don't know what the things are called when they make the wee whistling noise, but you could hear that noise happening. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Crazy whistles.
That's it. I want a name.
Getting your sherbet stuck in it and it doesn't make a proper sound, and you're like, oh, that was a waste of money.
If you watch Rangers TV already, the broadcast, and they were doing that, it would sound like an episode of the Clangers. That it'd be used that often, or the wah oops sort of type thing. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. He's you're right. He does take up the right positions. I mean, for starters, he's in Glasgow and he knows he's playing for Rangers, so that's a head start that I've seen. But he even when he gets a chance, so often he's that keen to get there. He's running offside. He has no awareness of what's happening in the peripheries. He just thinks that ball's going to be there. I'll just leave these defenders behind me and run to this space because it's bound to come to me. And then he turns around and can't believe there's a linesman standing waving a flag that he's offside. He's getting to the right positions. He needs, I mean, somebody of his age needing to be coached maybe tells you that he's no really, not just a finished product. He's not kind of any product. I know what you need, but you cannot fault him for effort.
No, definitely not. Like he's like the new Sakala, isn't he? Shot. He's we're all frustrated with Sakala, and he couldn't stay on side, but the goal contributions speak for themselves. That was 22 goals last year.
I refer you to the famous saying of lies, damn lies, and statistics. It doesn't always, sometimes you get a guy who's scoring a lot of goals and they've not really done anything. He's, I would say that he's somewhere ahead of Zebo in terms of being the ultimate Rangers striker, and maybe just slightly behind Oleg Salenko just now. But he still might, if he scores 5 goals in the World Cup tie, he might actually just pop ahead of Salenko, who the last time I met actually was in Valencia when Rangers played in Valencia, and he was doing a pile of work for Spanish TV. Right. But honestly, you looked at him, and he was a guy a few years before who was playing in the World Cup, and it looked as if the next World Cup that came around would be the Rugby World Cup. He has it just ballooned. It just was ginormous. I mean, I maybe had a passion for paella, but not the whole frying pan. Just have a plate of it. Don't just scoop the whole thing into your mouth.
Passion for paella. Come on. Hashtag that, man.
You were talking about positional awareness there, and I'll tell you this joke first. So we were chatting in the WhatsApp group last night in the Battle Fever pod, and I was saying, Scott was talking about Dessers' positional awareness. I was like, mate, he doesn't even know where his hotel is, and he's one of these guys who's like stuck in the corridor with his key card. He's trying it in the ice machine. Do you know what I mean? Because that's as close as he can get. No, it's there was a bit of that all over the park last night. I felt particularly John Souttar in the first half as well. He was very nervous, and his positional awareness was fucking all out of the shop. But also, I was quite disappointed with Ridvan. I felt Ridvan was off the boil. Some of his passing was ridiculous. Like he was just firing balls at people. And then he was like really annoyed at himself for doing it. And I'm like, mate, maybe just taper it in a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? But then he just went and did it, the same thing again. So there was definitely a bit of that last night. And I don't know if that was down to maybe a bit of pressure, but also a bit of rustiness as well. But what was your thoughts, Wasp, on that?
I totally agree, mate. Like the whole Ridvan thing, I just think his corners are. Is it just because he's a fullback and he's no Barisic? He needs to put in corners. He wasn't getting in the mix at all, and I was getting frustrated. But that being said, mate, he was probably one of the better players at Tynecastle on Saturday. So but it was a real scrappy game. I thought. Both teams had their chances, but mate, it was a scrappy game, and I was absolutely slating the Hefty or the Jeffty substitution, but it actually turned out to be a wee stroke of genius, didn't it? So
bonkers, absolutely bonkers. You know, as soon as he come on the park, I messaged the guys and I was like, he's going to get sent off, book it, right? And then I was eating my words. It was fantastic. Playing a bit further forward next time, please. That's clearly what works.
Especially that
Robin
cross.
Was saying, sorry, just what Robin was saying there about Ridvan. I mean, I think that's where the frustration comes. That he plays on Saturday and actually was pretty decent, and then the next day he comes out and it's like he's unrecognisable, and that applies to so many of them. You never seem to get a sequence of games where they're like 7 out of 10. No, they'll have an 8 out of 10, then a 4 out of 10. I thought Souttar, I honestly think Souttar took to the pitch expecting to see proper there. I think it was like almost like, oh, it's you again. Where did you come from, or where did you pop up from? And I thought, I mean, not just with Ridvan's corners, I thought the quality of the set pieces from Rangers, for somebody who grew up watching Tommy McLean and David Cooper, putting it into a 1 square foot of an area where they knew they were going to get a Colin Jackson or a Derek Johnson or a Terry Butcher or whoever it was on the end of it. The quality was absolutely horrendous. It was rank rotten, and that there is no excuse for that. No. Absolutely none. When you get guys like David Beckham who can play the game, going out with a bag of balls after training, he practiced, but he's already perfected. That's a level of conscientiousness that you're looking for from the players, and there was none of that on evidence last night. The free kicks that Rangers were taking.
No, agreed. And I think you were talking about David Beckham taking out a bag of balls. I think the Rangers players take out a bag of chips and practice with them after the game. You know what I mean? That's the fucking quality we're getting right now. And the set pieces were so bad that they literally weren't finding a man. Do you know what I mean? At least like you're saying, you would expect something to get on the end of it. But if there's nothing to get on the end of, then what are we today? Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because like you look at the match stats, right? So Rangers had 7 shots on target versus their 5, 12 shots in total to their 9. Stats and all that kind of shite. But in terms of the stats, we did do all right despite being shite.
But Snags, I think like it's been a few years now we've been quite poor at set pieces. You take away like Tav's goals and free kicks. I just think like if this would probably be one for like Jeeb because he's saw stats and that, but I think the last time we've properly scored consistently for the corners, you would have to go back a few seasons at least. Like our centre halves getting at least 5-6 goals a season for the corners. We've not got that aerial threat since, dare I say it, Philip Palander when he scored against them. But we don't seem, like I was positive when Souttar came in, Balogun when he came back because he was aerial threat, but I don't know. Hopefully, like Proper might offer that. Looking at the 20 stats, he was like top goal scorer for like like the first couple of games in the 20 season, like 6 goals, and a couple of them were for set pieces. So I just feel like we've been really poor. And Clement said in the past that, you know, like you got to bring a set piece coach out, and he's like, no, that's what I'm going to work on, and it's still no working. Out swingers, in swingers, it's no working. So I don't know.
I don't think it's just the quality of actual kicks, corners or free kicks. If you're going to hit a free kick to a specific area and there's somebody just making a standing jump on it, it's hugely ineffective. Very, very rarely do somebody get a ball pinged onto their head and I'm just heading the ball into goals. It doesn't really happen. People have got to be moving. And I think when you actually add that to the quality of the free kicks and people running, you run towards an area. It's the same as what zonal marking is. You need to be in an area and then adjust your run to get to the ball. You can't just run smack into a defender or run past a defender and just keep on running. You've got to sort of time it that you're actually going to arrive there. And whether it's miscommunication or just no practicing enough, it is absolutely piss poor.
Yeah, Stuart, you're right. I just feel like there's no intelligence in the set pieces, and not just Rangers, but like Scottish teams in general. They know they're going to get outplayed in Champions League or European competition against bigger, dangerous opponents. So that used to be when like Walter Smith was the manager, set pieces were so important, you know, and, you know, if we can get a good ball in, like we utilise them better. I just feel like we're not even doing it in Scotland now. Like even teams like Ross County, Motherwell and stuff like that, you know, there's no intelligence in our set pieces unless it's a wonder goal for Tav.
I remember going to see and I took my lad at the game because it was this could be our one and only chance to see these guys, and you know, was it something I said? Knocking back. Was it? This was your one and only chance, and Rangers played a midweek game friendly against AC Milan, and it was AC Milan when they had all the superstars playing for them. You know, you Kaka, Beckham, you know, Ronaldinho, you name it. They were all playing for AC Milan at the time. And I remember Beckham got a free kick. You take a free kick, and it was like 5 yards in from the byline, 5 yards in from the touchline, and he's taking this free kick. And, you know, I reckon the majority of folk at Ibrox that night were thinking he's going to float this one in and have the guys running at it. No. He hit this as if he was hitting a direct shot at goal. It flew across the face of the goal, and all you had was like Milan players throwing themselves at it because they knew if they get the slightest touch, it was going towards the goals. And there isn't anybody with the confidence to put a ball down and say, "Here, just have a dig at this." You know, cause a bit of confusion, cause a bit of consternation and a bit of panic in opposition goals. Instead of that, they're floating them up in the air. And you know, if you're right up against the opposition that playing with 3 centre halves and one of them's got a head like a magnet when it comes to the ball, you're going to be on to plums.
Yeah, totally agree, shit. Totally agree.
100%. And it is, you know, it is disheartening now because, you know, I can remember only a couple of seasons ago where, you know, we got a set play anywhere and you're just like, right, here we go, Tav territory, you know what I mean? Brilliant. But now you're just like, oh, here we go. Like, hopefully we do something good with this. You know what I mean? Oh no, here we go. Shite again. It's just shite after shite, and it's a shame. And I would hope. I mean, what I say?
I want to see them picking the ball up and going, no, we don't want this one this time. Here, this opposition man, you have the ball. We'll just play away. You know, it's that bad that you're always thinking to yourself, can it get any worse? And inevitably it does. I mean. Right. I mentioned Tommy McLean there when he was up the road there in Ashgill, you know, practicing as a kid. He used to aim free kicks or kicks at the crossbar. If it hit the crossbar, it came back to him. If he missed it, the ball went away down a big steep hill, and he had to go all the way to the bottom of this hill and bring it all the way back up. Needless to say, he didn't miss the crossbar very often. it's having that dedication and diligence to actually practice these things that make people are not born, oh, he's a dead ball expert. No, you have to practice it. And I'd really like to spend a day at the training ground just to see how much they practice it. Just another aside, I remember watching Parma when Rangers played Parma, right? And they had Baggio, the whole repertoire, Stanic, you name it, all the players that they had, and they played against Rangers, and they were practicing free kicks, and then the movable wall, right? And they're all lined up to take these free kicks, and what they were doing was they were aiming for the top of the stanchion up on the crossbar and post, the angle, and they were trying to hit right on the point of it and rebound the ball back out at 45 yards into a bucket, right? And they were playing for money, right? And obviously there was money riding on this, and whoever did this often enough, they get a bigger cut of the money, and that's how they practiced. And that was Italian internationals, Croatian internationals, you name it, the best of the best playing for that team. And that's what they were doing the day before they played Rangers.
Wow.
Bonkers. Right, I think I know what it is, Stuart. I think the players are playing for money, but they have to get the game as close to the wire as humanly possible. I think that's where the rewards come in.
I used to just scalp the ball off the side of my dad's house. That's how I practiced. Then ran away when he came out shouting.
And so does Dessers. That's how he does it.
Maybe he's on my dad's street kicking it. He's missing the house.
He can't find his Rangers. So here, like last thoughts on the game, right? What was your favourite moment, Stuart? I'll come to you first.
My favourite moment came right at the end when Dessers scored, and it wasn't anything to do with Dessers scoring. That was more of a relief. My favourite moment was the ball went out wide, and Czerny got a touch of it to bring it under control, knocked it on his left foot, get half a yard of space, and delivered a cross. Call me old-fashioned, but you get half a yard on somebody and deliver the ball into the box. These things happen. It's not any kind of miracle. It's not like somebody suddenly schemed something up that's going to appear in the next FIFA coaching manual. People have been doing that for years. You know, I go back to the old Kevin Drinkle saying about somebody saying to him about Mark Walters, and the guy saying, Mark Walters is a one-trick pony, and Kevin saying, but what a fucking trick. You know, you knew the step over was coming. You didn't know if he was stepping over on his right foot or his left foot. You knew it was coming. But see, once he'd done the step over and you'd moved or you'd blinked, that ball was into the middle. And I wish sometimes McCausland would actually be braver when he gets that half chance, rather than no, I need to come back in again and maybe get 2 yards of space. It doesn't happen in football, son.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, just to touch on your point on Czerny there, see, when he come on, I was like, I wasn't, because he's clearly off it, right? He's maybe 3 or 4 games off it. But also, I was saying to the guys last night, he's coming for, a different country, different league. So he needs time to, bed into Scottish football and understand that he's not going to get 2 or 3 seconds on the ball. He needs to get it away at his feet quicker. But like you say, when he looked up, somebody actually looked up to see what was ahead of him before he crossed the ball. That was insane. But the ball he played was fantastic.
I'll never catch on.
No, I know. But what was even funnier was, I don't know if you saw Dessers post-match, but he was talking about it. They were like, talk us through the goal. And he's like, I wasn't even running very fast. And it was the timing. And I was like, but that's exactly it. Do you know what I mean? It's the timing and the run to obviously meet the ball and back of the net, blah, blah, blah. But, old school, but it worked. And it was a lovely goal. And I felt weird celebrating because I didn't feel like I've celebrated anything Rangers related for a long time. But Wasp.
I can only agree with both of you. The goal was the only highlight. I think I said in the chat, screw this, I'm away to 5s. And then I got to 5s, and just as I was getting out the car, they scored. But I watched the goal back. That makes the goal even more impressive. I don't know who plays it into Dessers, but he holds it up perfect. And he plays it. So he plays it perfect to get out to Lawrence and Hefty's away, and then it was that moment where he crossed it. I was like, "What are you doing, eh?" And then just was like in a huff, and then the run back in, and he takes 2 centre halves out the game, and it could have easily ballooned out of the bar, and it was a great finish, eh? So fair play to him, eh? Fair play, because we're all slating Dessers and like we're having a laugh, and the boy never hides. Stuart said that the boy never hides,
No.
and he's brave, and he always comes out and he says this club's no easy to play for, but he'll keep going. And like even on Saturday there, I thought he was good. He was making his own chances and that, and unfortunately he couldn't bury one, but he was good.
Aye, and the only way is up, mate. Do you know what I mean? And I was talking about this last night. It's, you know, we started pre-season with losses. We're in the main season with draws. We can only get to wins now. That's it. You know, we're making this natural progression towards winning, and hopefully that starts on Saturday, which obviously we'll get to in a bit. So moving on, we've spent half an hour talking about that game. That's pretty good going. Let's touch on the stadium saga. I know we've talked it to death over the past few weeks, but obviously John Bennett's interview, the subsequent fallout from that. You know, what I will say, like given my own perspective and involvement with projects and things like that, I find it baffling that anybody would start a large infrastructure project without materials on site. But not only that, rip out the stands first.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, you do your risk assessments, you do your due diligence, and then when the materials come on site, you start the job. But I just don't get where this, you know, risk has been accepted, and, you know, they've decided it's a good idea with only a few weeks window to complete the work. It just doesn't make sense, and I just feel like we're being fed a bag of shite when it comes to this shipment comes in there and this shipment comes at, like, fuck off, like, mate, you fucked it up. Do you know what I mean? You fucked up, you panicked, you managed to get a standby venue, fucking luckily. However, we are where we are now, and it's just not acceptable. But what's your thoughts on it? Anybody?
Aye, we're lucky, mate. Yeah, it could have been points deductions before the season even kicked off, or we could have been hit with fines. It's like, you know, I never started ripping out my bathrooms last week without a skip. You know what I mean? Like, I just chuck it in the drive and hope for the best. Like, and the missus cracks up, eh? So I just absolutely didn't understand it, eh? Like, maybe you're getting the materials cheaper in Asia, which seems to be the thing these days, but.
You go for a shower in his house now, there's like a scale model of the governed stand.
Mate, there's no even a shower in my house now. So, you know, every morning I'm in the sink in the kitchen. If
you take the dishes out first.
Well, move them out the way first, eh? Like, need to get my hands in. But the shower gel's on at the sink and that, eh? I'm only joking.
But see the point, the point you were making there, or, you know, and I need to agree with it. You don't take on a project like this without having contingencies in place. The most basics are: do you have the materials, and do you have somebody to do it? Yes. What is the time? Well, it's this, but it could be this. If it's going to be a could be, start it earlier.
Yeah.
You know, forget all this about the. I am sure at the time, if Rangers had gone to the SPFL and said, by the way, we've got a few problems. The last 5 games of the season, they're a bit iffy for us anyway. We'll just forgo home advantage in any of the games so we can start this early. Let's go for it. And the thing is, there are too many people out there. You're talking about 50,000 every home match, plus the same again times 5 or 6 or 10 who have an interest in Rangers, who will deal with these kind of matters on a daily basis. So don't bullshit anybody. People know how things work. Don't try and pull the wool over their eyes and come up with some spurious tale about, oh, this didn't work, and that didn't work. It's down to you. It's called forward planning. And, you know, and you put the plans in place, and then you have a contingency if these things don't work out. You don't basically start the thing and put the bulldozer through the front door and then decide, oh, this could be a bad idea, actually. We need to shore up the rest of the building now to get the season played.
There's no skip.
They skip. Aye, and these dishes are still the same. But
there's a guy washing you selling a sink here, man.
Aye, that's the fairy liquid, you dick.
Well, aye.
But everybody knows that you cannot, you cannot kid all of the people all of the time, and that's what they've tried to do. And there's people outside world there going, really? No, they've made an arse of it from start to finish. Hence the reason they are where they are.
Correct, and I talked about this in the live pod. One of the things that struck me, but it wasn't a surprise, Stuart, that this is the thing, but it's the communication. Do you know what I mean? If the club had come out and said 5 or 6 weeks before the end of the season, by the way, here's the planned works, and if it goes wrong, don't worry, we've got a contingency. This is what we're going to do, and if we have to use it, this is how it's going to work. They didn't do any of that.
No,
none of it. We just saw the photos with the big cranes outside. We're like, oh, nice one. There's some work getting done. Oh, hang on.
But who's actually not directing the works, but who's actually advising them on their approach in terms of press and PR? It's the same thing. If you're going to do something, this is the time scale. You don't suddenly just say, well, we've started it, and then the next thing you say is, oh, we've started it, but we're not going to get it finished. That's not what people are expecting or they want. It's been an absolute, to use the lines from the thick of it, it's been a catastrophe from start to finish, and it's costing Rangers money.
Yeah,
Hampden's not going to be coming cheap. You get the people at Queen's Park and are rubbing their hands, going, oh, we're going to get weighed in here for other people's messing about. And Rangers are, think how fortunate Rangers are. If Glasgow hadn't been the home of European football all those years ago, there wouldn't have been a Hampden. If it was left up to me, there was no need for a Hampden either. But it's almost like here's a flat pack inflatable that you just need to blow up and you can play in this. Where's Proper? He's good at flat packs. We'll just get him to basically. Aye, just basically get him to build this, and away you go. I think they've been very, very fortunate, all in that they're basically playing. One is playing in Scotland, two they're playing in Glasgow. That opportunity would not have been there in other countries.
No, 100%. And I've just to add another sprinkling of comedic value, like people didn't find out where they were sitting until the Friday before the game on the Saturday. That's hilarious. Oh, and by the way, like somebody on Twitter says, if you log onto my Jers and click on the top right hand corner, Edmundston House or something like that, you had to log in to get. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I know, man. It's been bad for years, eh? But like any kind of big project like that, it's got to have a time scale and a schedule, start to completion, every phase. Right, so they've looked at that, right? But every possible, right? If this doesn't happen, then the job goes like that. It's like every big engineering construction project, right? So they've just saw it's going to be finished before the season starts, and then it needs to be tested, it needs to be fat tested, accepted, and it's just I just feel like they've not done that, and it just feels like me being an engineer, all my days, there's a saying, more delays, more pays. And it kind of feels like it's got that about it, but there's also, you guys were saying, it just sounds like I was listening to that interview and it's just embarrassing, mate. It's so embarrassing.
It's when you get an email through and you're a season ticket holder and you want to find out where you're sitting and you get an email and you go and you click on it and it's like, but here's a bottle of whiskey you might want to win. Or here's I'm not interested. Just tell us where we're supposed to be sitting. It's like, oh, they're giving away Rangers deck chairs. It's like, is anybody really interested?
Castor, a limited edition Hampden t-shirt. Mate, out now, £60.
Mate, they'll just be sat in their house in it. But John, what? You're not going to believe this. There's a raven at the window. What? Oh, there's a raven. It's got a Castor top. Fuck off. I'm telling you, come through and see this. Oh my fucking! It's got a note attached to it, and it's got the fucking seat number on it. This is where you're sat at the weekend. You're going to get Blast Rangers to pull off something like that. Honestly, fucking raven at the window. Good telling you. Oh, honestly, but right, I tell you what, we'll finish up on that because we're fucking pushed for time. But let's talk a wee bit about incomings and outgoings. Right, there's a couple of rumours doing the rounds at the minute. So apparently, we've
Tell me,
submitted a loan.
Max.
What?
Tell me.
Apparently, mate, this is just for the media, so it's probably shite. Submitted a loan bid for somebody called Leo Castledine, right? 19-year-old kid from Chelsea, attacking midfielder who has also played as a central defender. Technically very good, and Rangers apparently want a loan with an option to buy, but Chelsea have said no. We would just like to go loan only, please. So they're currently negotiating with us. And then obviously there's that Hannibal character, Todd Cantwell Part 2. But Man United are basically saying that they only want to let him go on a permanent transfer, and Rangers are like, "What, you want money for him? Maybe no then." So I don't think that's going to come to any fruition.
Is it a hard hat and a high vis?
No, but he's good at TikTok.
Can he weld?
And he's got a flock of ravens in his back garden. Fucking winner. I tell you what. Wasp, I'm going to ask you, mate. So how do you feel that Nils Koppen is being supported well enough, and is the club's transfer strategy as you envisaged it at the close of the season?
No, definitely not, mate. I just feel like he's came in, he's been given his budget, which seems to be next to nothing, and we're just going to constantly lose money with that Ibrox scenario carry on. But I just feel like the players we were kind of getting linked with at the start of summer about a South American flair, so you were like, right, these guys, hopefully they're going to be aggressive, passionate, and they want to do well at Rangers to get the move to like a bigger club. So it was all these kind of young players. It kind of reminded me of the Arsenal model when they were bringing in players like Saka, Martinelli, and that. It kind of had that feel about it. It didn't work well the first season, but once they integrated into the style of play, and then I was excited. But see now, mate, it just feels like Clement says we're trying to plan for the future and all this, but it just feels like these are stopgaps, loans for Chelsea. We've got our own youngsters who didn't seem to be proving the mustard even when they get their chances. And it's just, I don't think Hannibal's the answer. I don't think, to be fair, I don't know much about this Chelsea boy, but I feel like we definitely need midfield now. Midfield's like really short, especially with Raskin getting. But yeah, the answer to the question, mate, is I think I feel for Clement and Koppen. I think they've had the wool pulled over their eyes as well. So,
maybe I'll jump in my TARDIS just now in two things. You say about Rangers and their signings and not having any money and all the rest of it. Which, if you go back to what we started off talking about tonight, was the whole thing about the lineup, and you'd be thinking for somebody who might get a few million quid out of this to spend on players, the manager might have had a slightly different lineup to start with if he was that desperate to actually earn some money. I'll go back even further. Back in the bad old days when Rangers were, supporting every other club in Scotland, just about get through the different leagues and travelling away to Elgin and Brechin and all the rest of it. That was the days when, rather than bringing in guys on stupidly daft contracts and all the rest of it and taking any odds and sods, that was when everybody should have found out just how good the academy system was at Rangers. And we never found that out. Why? Because either they never got a chance or none of them was good enough. And I think, long term, that's been pretty scandalous. You can literally count in one hand in the last 25 years how many Rangers players have come through the academy system and actually made it, or have actually come through the academy system, made it, but actually stayed at Rangers. Because if they are any good, they tend to go somewhere else. And that, right now, when you really need a contribution, especially from guys that are dyed-in-the-wool Rangers, through and through, all part of this big family that everybody hears about, it's scandalous that there's nobody there breaking down doors to say, give me a chance. If I get these guys, I'll guarantee you 20, 30 goals a season. It's just not there.
No.
No, I think I think there's quite a few things behind the scenes that are broken, and that's obviously apparent in our first team football, but and also our youth academy, and it's sad. It's sad to see, and I think as well, you know, you look at players like, you know, Alex Lowry as well, you know, who's gone away and come back, and we were like, do you know what? Here's his chance. He's definitely gonna grab it with both hands this time. But no, it's just no working out. And obviously Ross McCausland is probably the only shining light at the moment. I would suggest maybe Fraser as well, who was on the bench last night. But and actually, I probably would have played him ahead of Scott Wright for sure in that left wing position.
You'd have played Tommy McLean ahead of Scott Wright.
I'd have played Wasp. I'm telling you, I'd have played Wasp. No worries at all. But I do feel like this is you know, going into the third season or whatever, you know, this is a rinse and repeat cycle, where, you know, next season it's going to be right time for a rebuild. Here we go. Got to get behind the manager and the team, but which manager will it be? It's becoming a bit of a joke now. But it would be nice to get a bit of consistency and a show of, you know, a rebuild and a bit of structure behind the scenes, because we desperately need it. And P.S. by the way, talking about that whiskey, Stuart, I was thinking about that there, and that advert, by the way, have you seen it with John Brown? where if you dare buy a bottle of whiskey, you'll probably get your head chopped off.
That's right, aye. Yeah, have a half, smash.
I am raging right now because I have to do this advert. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the future. And by the future, I mean Saturday. So on Saturday, the 10th of August at 1500 hours, we'll take on Motherwell at what I'm going to call Hambrox. Right, that's a new Rangers home. Well, first prediction: when do you think we're moving back into Ibrox? Right, John Bennett said September, but he didn't say which year. So I'll probably say that September next year is probably a realistic possibility. What about yourselves?
That's a depressing thought, mate. Like,
sorry about that.
Aye, but
hold the plug there.
Hopefully by they play October, I would say. Aye,
Stuart.
I listen. How long's a bit of string? You would say, yeah, okay, be saying that, but you just know that it's like tell him September, and that'll buy us time to December. You know what I mean? There's been a couple of things. Somebody's lost the drawing, or somebody stole the keys to the JCB. But these things happen. Listen, I think they're at a stage just now where they'll basically even take a patched up job just to get it a license and get it open.
Yeah.
So it could be that they go through the season and then basically let's revisit this come next May till we really have to finish it. So I think, in all seriousness, if they get in at September, October time, they'll have one to watch.
Aye, agreed. And you know, Maggie says it there. She can't see it being complete this year. Like I was joking when I said September, but actually January is probably realistic. But that being said, you know, the winter time and stuff. In fact, the board are probably, you know, can we get a hurricane? I know a guy that can get a hurricane half price.
Aye, but see what Maggie's saying there. Rangers, when they did work on Ibrox, they put the club deck up years ago, and it was like, wait, we don't. All we do is jog down the sides and put the pilings in, and that's us away we go. Except when they drilled down the sides, they were actually drilling into the old silt bed of the Clyde that was thousands and thousands and millions of years old. So they couldn't find the bottom of it. And Sir David Murray would tell you how much they spent. They spent a fortune basically trying to pile down the side of this and just fill it with concrete, not knowing where it was going. I mean, somebody in Postle, the floorboards suddenly started coming up with this concrete coming through, their floorboards. But it was like, you if everything goes in your favour, yeah, you can complete works in a certain period of time and it'll be guaranteed. There are no, for me, guarantees in this.
I know, and I was just thinking there, like, what a marketing opportunity we've got there, Stuart, as well, that we clearly missed with the club deck, right? Because we could say it's the only stand in the world that is hinged on the Earth's core. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you not want to buy a season ticket for that? Oh, it's a bit
That's
hot
right.
today. Aye, weird.
You-
Aye, it's the
You get
fucking hell.
somebody in New Zealand go, what the hell is this? They start hitting it, and all the floodlights start shaking.
Aye.
Wait, is that a woolly mammoth?
Especially
Fucking
European
Glasgow's
nights when
traffic
the
tournament season.
stands bouncing. Eh?
That's
That's
right,
it,
aye.
exactly.
It's like that ceiling's coming in, eh? Oh, it's just Ibrox bouncing, eh? So,
That's the sun coming up in Australia. Fucking hell. Anyway, back to the good stuff. Anyway, so we play Motherwell, right? So Motherwell also drew their opening game of the season 0-0. So I mean, technically they could be our first Premier League scalp. So what are your predictions for the game, Wasp?
3-0 Rangers.
Oh, I like it. A clean sheet as well. You're cute.
Aye, mate. Well, Butland's he's been not too bad, mate.
Aye.
He's been not too bad, but I think 3-0. I think see if we lost last night, I think the media would have been on top of us. The fans would have been less disjointed, but you know that goal's sparked us a wee bit. Like you said, it's a wee momentum builder, so we need to build on that. Get Robin in, shore up the back line. Know this one, the handsome one, and then we'll take it through there, mate. We'll take it through there, and I feel like we could. This is the thing. Like to me, Hampden pitch seems wider, so you know, get your boy Hefty running at them, get Cherny running at them, and I take it through there, mate. So I think 3-0. I think Rangers got to start the season, and then it'll just build through there.
And I just want to say, obviously, you know, this is the ground for the Hampden Slayer, aka Scott Wright. You know what I'm saying?
Bring him on 10 minutes at the end, like when we're 3-0 up.
The guy's got form there. Stuart, what's your prediction, mate?
I had I maybe agree with that. We lost in the 3-0. Butland hat trick. Jester saves a penalty. But listen, Motherwell, and I've said it before, historically, they can be real, you know, flies in the ointment, can't they? Difficult opponents at any time. And again, I think Rangers have an air of vulnerability about them that other teams might be trying to take advantage of. I must admit that last night, and as I said, it was a draw, but it felt like a win, and I think that applied to so many Rangers fans. I speak to a couple today, and there was a real, I'm going to say a spring in their step, but there was a bit of a kind of smile about their face than what there had been after the Hearts game. It was almost like, hey, you know, they ground out a result. Maybe they're showing a bit of backbone and a bit of spirit that we didn't know that they had. I think we need to use all of that against Motherwell. Because again, Motherwell really are no pushovers. They can make it very, very difficult for teams. And I think, I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy or a broken record or somebody that sits in the fence. At this time of the season, I would take any kind of win whatsoever just to keep pace with those around you.
Aye, 100%. And I think, Wasp, I love a 3-0 prediction. And actually, and I would love Dessers to go on a scoring run as well. But realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen. But it would be good to obviously see some of the new players starting to get bedded in as well. And hopefully that'll be the case. And it will add a bit more of a shore up, if you like.
I say that as well, Snags. Sorry to interrupt, mate. But
that's all right.
I say that as well. Just that Motherwell have lost a lot of key players, mate. So Liam Kelly, McGabby, they've lost that boy Theo Baird who kind of ragdolled us at Ibrox season. Like obviously they've brought in that new Greek boy, but he's untested. But I just feel that they've lost like a proper spine of their team. I'm not too sure if the boy Lennon Miller's available at the weekend, but they've also got Andy Halliday.
It might still be having his medical.
But that's the only reason I say that. I think they've been up and down in the League Cup campaign so far. So I don't think they were entirely impressive against whoever they were playing. I watched the highlights. I can't mind, but they've won.
Sorry. Can I just make one
course
one
you
aside is like I found the quote from Clement really, really strange. On Saturday or at the weekend there, when he said that what I really need is a Lundstrom, when actually the guy that replaced him was your best player. For me that kind of smacked a wee bit of what Southgate had said before the Euros, that we're kind of, I'm really looking for somebody, but we're missing Calvin Phillips. Therefore, I'll throw everybody else under a bus and try everybody else to just try and find somebody who's Calvin Phillips. I think Clement's line there was utterly strange and utterly bizarre, given the fact that the guy that you brought in during the summer was actually the best player playing in that position. And if I was a player or anything, what do you actually want? Do you want some of your old players back? Then why did you ever sell them or let them leave? Or are you going to stick and show a bit of faith with the guys that are actually there?
You have to wonder if it maybe was a wee jibe at the bow there, because maybe he wanted to keep a hard aim and we didn't try hard enough, maybe, or he was just reminiscent of good times in that Europa League run. I mean, he could have said, we missed Brian Laudrup today or whatever, you know what I mean, and it still would have had the
That's
same.
Right, aye. That's right.
That's my boss. That's my ma every day saying that, mate. What are you talking about?
Oh, we could have done with Paul Gascoigne today, lads. We could have done
on the wing. Hey, I hate Tom Lawrence. He's no fit to wear that number 11. You're like, well, fair play, isn't he?
But anyway, so we're all agreed it's a Rangers win then on Saturday. But what about Tuesday? Obviously, we'll not be podding again till next Wednesday, and obviously Rangers have got another home game at Hambrox, Tuesday the 13th of August, my 44th birthday, at 1945 hours. Do you know what? I've got a good feeling about it. I think if we approach it in the right way and didn't make heinous mistakes, we could come away maybe 2-0 winners, I would suggest. Obviously, Yarmolenko's always a danger, but if we manage him in the right way and, Proper's a couple of games in, anything's possible, I would suggest. What's your prediction?
I see that Yarmolenko was at West Ham. He used to play.
Correct. Yeah, he was very effective there as well.
He's a very good player, mate. I'll take any win to get to the next round, mate. I don't care how it goes, but I feel like Rangers matched them man for man yesterday. I just feel like we're just kind of missing that kind of aggressiveness in midfield. I just feel like Barron and Diomande, like they were so far back. If we can get that right and get them going a bit quicker, Diomande showed that he can do that. I think it was in the second half. If we can do that, we can hurt them, and then just take on the winner of Salzburg in 20. It's it's definitely achievable. I think PSV last year. I think a lot of people would admit it was a hard tie, especially when we kind of threw it away at Ibrox. But I feel like we could do this. But the Champions League is important. It's good, but getting back to winning the league consistently, we didn't need to do these qualifiers there, and we can bankroll that. So just any win will do, mate.
Aye, and there's £5 million resting on this one game as well, which I'm pretty sure is the Premier League prize pot for the season. So it's,
once they take our Hampden bill off, mate. Eh?
Oh, didn't he? That is probably the Hampden bill, to be fair. Stuart, what's your thoughts on it?
Sorry to be as nonplussed as I was the last time when I gave you an answer. A win is all you can hope for, and all you're looking for. I mean, again, it takes you into the next round, and then your worries begin by wondering about what kind of team you're going to meet. My only reservation would be that I think Kiev played that last night thinking they were going to get a second goal, and they thought that they were going to be in control coming to Glasgow, and I just wonder, even though they're not very good, if they've actually got something left, or whether they'll just go for broke in Glasgow. You don't need to worry about away goals or anything like that. And again, they've got some players that can actually play the game. I thought that one of the saves that Butland had when they basically played a couple of runarounds and a couple of wee passes and then had a shot from outside the box. When you see that, all it needs to be is on target or beyond the keeper or take a deflection, and it could go horribly wrong. So any kind of win at all, would be gratefully received.
Aye, agreed. And you were talking, like, just to touch on what you were saying there, I think one of the things that stuck out for me is although they tired quite quickly, I think some of their combination play was very dangerous, and we struggled to deal with any of it. Like, we didn't break up any of it as far as I recall. And also, Wasp, what you were saying about our midfield being pushed back, that's a sign of game control. It's the heavy pressure. Pushing the mid back into our own half, and I think we need to get on top of that and not let it happen as easily next time around. But with this Rangers team, you just didn't know.
I also wonder about that when they were getting pushed back. If you start getting pushed back, it's okay. The midfielders take a step forward and say we're not going. You're actually driven forward with the guys behind you.
Correct.
And I don't think the centre backs were vocal enough in terms of that. But not only that, when your captain is at right back, he's the guy that should be instructing you to push up a bit. I honestly, I don't think he knows where he is defensive wise. So you're not looking for that instruction. So you're looking for one of the two guys playing at centre back to take a bit of, take charge of things. And again, the two of them looked at each other as to say, this is what Mr. Proper was brought in for, or the telephone number for Big Goldson, so he can maybe ask him one more question before he leaves. They just look completely lost on that count.
Can you leave a voicemail shouting at the defence and we'll play it?
Right over the PA system, which we ordered about 10 months ago, by the way. It's still not here yet.
The steel arrived a week Monday.
It's our local people.
Aye, they lift up the cover and it's cheese. Who ordered cheese? Oh no! Oh mate, honestly, you couldn't fucking make it up. Anyway, so we're basically going to win. That's the overarching view here.
Every view, mate. Every view.
Positive. Wasp, have you got any shout outs you would like to give before we draw this podcast to a close?
I just shout out my dad and Ma are in the chat, and I think Marley's running out, so I'll give him a shout. But I want to give a shout out to a boy, Adam Malcolm, who kindly let me go to the Old Firm with him and that, and I know his boy Gary, he's a top lad, and I had a cracking day out with him and just talking Rangers and that, and the result wasn't there, but I'll give him a shout out, mate. He was a top lad, so hopefully
nice.
Get him again.
What a ledge. Stuart, have you got any, mate?
No one likes me. I don't care.
That's a nice shout out. I'll just give a quick shout out to Hernan Pacheco, who is making his way back to Scotland for the first time, I think, in 10 years. My Argentinian Madre. And he's going to take in about 8 games, I think, the crazy bastard. But, being the most sensible guy on the planet, he decided that December was the best time to come to Scotland. Oh, have I got news for you, my friend?
Aye, scarce, mate.
I'm looking forward to the challenge of driving up to England, never mind flying for fucking Argentina. So cheers for that. And I hope your travel is flawless.
Does he ken any midfielders, mate? And get some.
You would hope so, eh? But do you know what? Thanks to everybody that's tuned in tonight and welcomed us back with open arms. We absolutely appreciate it, and please make sure you like and subscribe. It's a new YouTube channel because the old one got jacked because basically I left it too long and it died, so we lost all that content. So I had to create a new one. So please make sure you subscribe, share with all your pals and all that. And we've been the Rangers AF podcast, and we'll see you next time. Cheerio.
Thank you.